My name is Relando Thompkins-Jones, and this is an open letter to the parents and families of college students. Here are some things that they'd like you to know. Dear parents, guardians, grandparents, mentors, other relatives, and significant others who have contributed to raising human beings, this is an important matter. From my work in orientations to my time as a resident assistant in campus life, as a supportive staff and student affairs, as a director, social justice education and higher education administrator, and as a professor in the classroom, I've seen some steady patterns in the lives of students over the years. This letter is an attempt to bring some of those things to your attention. I'm sharing this because I've had a lot of experience with supporting students in processing things that they don't feel they can share with their parents or families because of some of the ways that they've been responded to in the past when they've tried to do so. So, your loved one has entered college. Take a moment to honor this time in life. Take a pause to honor them and take some time to honor yourselves. You, along with others, have contributed to shaping who they've become so far. Although they're just getting started, they'll need your help to finish. I know that you're invested in their happiness and success, so I'm like to share these things with you from a place of love and sincerity in hopes that you receive what I have to say. Here are some things that they'd like you to know. They need to be given the space to make their own decisions, including their own mistakes. Coming to college can be a liberating experience for students because, in many ways, what happens in and outside of the classroom provides them with opportunities to more deeply discover who they are and what they value. They want you to be proud of them. Your approval means so much more than you know. As they have new experiences, their values and beliefs might change and may begin to look differently than the ones you may have taught them initially. Depending on what and how you've taught them to think about themselves and people who are different from them in terms of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, socioeconomic class, ability, religion, and other aspects of lived experience, and based on their interpretations of how you respond to difference in conversation or through your actions, they may decide to keep these changes hidden from you. Maybe you'll eventually find out, or maybe you won't. How long it might take, if it happens at all, will depend largely on their development as a person, but it will also be influenced by your personal development, openness, or lack thereof. They want you to be proud of them, and how you respond can play a huge role in whether they believe that they can have an authentic relationship with you given these changes and developments, or if they feel as if they need to pretend to be another person whenever they come home to visit. As hard as this may sound, they really want you to ask yourself, is my love really unconditional? Would you embrace your student in love if they came out to you? Would you still accept them if they chose not to follow the faith that you follow, or if they began practicing a faith that you haven't raised them to? Would you love them if they began an interracial relationship or wanted to live with their partner? What are some scenarios that might be difficult for you to understand or accept? How deep is your love? While some may be offended at the question, you will encounter situations that force you to put it to the test. For some, like never before. For every person who would scoff at these questions, there are students even today who have been rejected, cut off, cast out physically, emotionally, and financially by their families, which leads me to my next point. It hurts when you use support as leverage. I can't tell you how many students I've worked with over the years who've arrived at a realization that they've been living out a path that has been predetermined for them instead of a path that they would actually choose for themselves. I can't tell you how many times a student has wanted to change their major or discipline because they came to the conclusion that being a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it might be wasn't for them anymore. I can't tell you how many times they're met with rejection, contempt, and threats that their support will be taken away after revealing their realization that they want to choose a path that they were more passionate about to the ones that they love. Hearing things like, My parent is helping me out with school and said if I want that help to continue, I have to do what they want me to do. And it's not limited to financial support. Emotional support can be leveraged as well. Things like, what do you mean you're not going to be studying that anymore? That's not what we've been pushing so hard for all this time. You're breaking my heart. I can't accept this. I won't accept this. Multiple forms of denial of their reality and lived experience. Just so you know, this puts a huge strain on your students emotionally as well as financially. It really messes with their mental health. Stressing out about how you feel and about how disappointed or hurt you are or might be can impact their performance socially, academically, and in other areas as they still have to balance their current responsibilities while calculating how heavy the fallout from you might be. As hard as this may sound, they really want you to ask yourself, what are my hopes, goals, and dreams? And to what level have I obtained them? Is your student's decision to change directions really not what we have been pushing so hard for all this time? Or is it actually not what you have been pushing so hard for all this time? Have you really talked up your student's path to other family members and friends and even perhaps people at work? That sounds like community buy in. That sort of support can be really wonderful if it's actually what your student wants. But if it's not, all that talk and the expectation that's built up around it can place an intense amount of pressure on your student to continue out of obligation. And I honestly believe that you wouldn't want that if you really knew how this impacts your students. If you're finding you might be more passionate than your student is, it may be a sign that it's time to let it go. It may be a sign to close the door on what was and open yourself to what will be. And lastly, they love you very, very much. Perhaps you're already aware of this, but it really is true. Even though they may not share it openly as much as you or they might like, this is another reason why your unconditional support is critical to their success. They love you very, very much and want you to know that. This letter is not exhaustive, and these patterns can happen among and between students and their families, so the work is ongoing. Please know that I'm sharing these things with you with the utmost respect and care. I'm sharing these things with you in hopes that you'll use it as a conversation starter towards movement for more authentic relationships between your students and yourself. And I'm also hoping that others who come across this will use it as a resource to foster more authentic relationships between students and their families as well. So please just think it over and share it with others so that more people can join in. Ask yourself these questions first, then have a conversation with your student about it and be truly open to receiving whatever it is that they have to say. Again, how you respond can play a huge role in whether they believe they can have an authentic relationship with you, given the changes, the new developments, the learning, the growth that is happening, or if they feel as if they'll need to pretend to be another person whenever they come home to visit. And I'm sharing this with you because I truly believe that you wouldn't want them to pretend when they come home to visit. You want to know them fully and truly as who they actually are. So please take some time to think about this, reflect on it, answer the questions for yourself, and then have a conversation with them. Thank you for listening.